Hi, this is JFK assassination researcher Richard Hooke, and this is part 3 of my video on CIA hit lady Jackie Kennedy. Okay, and so here we are on Air Force One where LBJ is being sworn in, and the Illuminati Zionist CIA traitors of they were Illuminati Zionist CIA traitors of the highest order. They just assassinated our President Kennedy, and they were taking our country. And people need to understand, Jackie was CIA. After she shot JFK, she stood there for pics on Air Force One when LBJ was sworn in, reassuring the American people that LBJ was okay. And Jackie was a traitor, greater than Benedict Arnold, to shoot JFK and then endorse Zionist criminal LBJ, who surely knew Jackie had just shot the president. It's stunning. Jackie is how they perpetrated and implemented their total takeover, as LBJ then backed Israel's attack on the USS Liberty, gave Israel nuclear weapons technology that were eventually used later. Then we're feeling the effects, and it's still going on today. These people are still in charge. That's what I was just trying to show you there. Here's a picture of Jackie, and we went over this before, of her shot in 313. Deep State hit lady. The shirt again. Okay. Okay, so here you can see, I mean, there's been some talk of whether the Conleys were in the know or not. Well, everybody in the car was in the know. I mean, I'll just make that clear right now, okay? There's no question about it, okay? And here, you can see that the Conleys were right next to Jackie making that shot, and everybody said it sounded like a firecracker exploding, so you can't tell me they didn't hear a shot right next to them. So the Conleys still to be talking about the shots came from Oswald or maybe the Knoll. It's bullshit. The Conleys were fully aware, and actually in later years, John Conley told a relative that the driver shot President Kennedy. So Conley did disclose that once, and it's in my book Takedown. I have that quote available on Amazon Books. Conley did disclose that he thought the driver, he said the driver definitely shot President Kennedy, but he still didn't reveal that Jackie had done it, but surely he knew, because the bang was right next to his ear. I mean, I'm sure he knew for sure. Okay, here's just a picture of, see, the shot went up, Jackie's shot, and it came down by the manhole cover. Okay, and we have pictures of FBI agent Robert Barrett afterward coming by, and we can even see the bullet here. He picked up the bullet and took it away, and it was never seen again. He sent it into the FBI, and the bullet was never heard from again. I mean, it wasn't included in any of the Warren Commission assessments of the shooting. I mean, here we have a close-range pistol bullet that's not being discarded. The evidence is being ignored, but it obviously had to come from Jackie, as it was surrounded by, there was brain material and bone material laying there on the lawn next to the bullet. And that's the way that Buddy Walters, who first came over there, described it. And he told Roger Craig about that that afternoon. Here we have the picture again of FBI agent Robert Barrett picking up the bullet, and you can see the bone and brain material on the lawn there. And there's Buddy Walters, who described it. And I just wanted to make a note that the way President Kennedy was shot in the left side of the head, it's just kind of coincidental that Mary Pinchot Meyer, was shot in 1964, and she was a mistress of President Kennedy in the summer of the spring and summer of '63, and she was killed in '64 on a path in Washington, D.C., shot in the left side of the head, almost just like Jackie shot the president on November 22nd, '63. Mary Pinchot Meyer used to walk on that path with Jackie, okay? So, you know, in Peter Janney's book, great book, Mary's Mosaic, he proves the CIA put a hit on Mary Pinchot Meyer. Now, I can't prove that Jackie did it, and Peter Janney didn't say that, but I would think it's something that should be investigated because Mary Pinchot Meyer was shot in the left side of her head the same way that Jackie shot President Kennedy. And coincidentally, actually, another CIA agent, Gary Underhill, was shot in Washington, D.C. in the left side of his head while he was in bed on May 8th of 1964. In the same way, in the left side of his head is coming from a pistol in the same way. So Gary Underhill is another CIA murder that should be investigated, along with Mary Pinchot Myers. And CIA, they ought to take a close look at CIA agent Jackie Kennedy as a possible suspect, is what I would say. I mean, I can't prove it. Okay, so here some more pictures of FBI agent Robert Barrett. This was at approximately 12:40 when Oswald was getting into the Nash Rambler back there by the book depository. But here's all the brain matter, and he's picking up the bullet. And then nobody heard about that bullet again. Another picture. Now here's a picture of Jackie. This gun was added in. This isn't part of the picture. But in this frame, in the Zapruder film, you can see some glinting here, which very possibly was the gun. She stored behind the president's back. She stuffed it behind his back after shooting him in 313. And this gun was just placed here so you would get the idea, but this wasn't part of it. In the Zapruder frame, it just shows a reflection there on her hand, but so you get the idea. Okay, and here I just wanted to show the pictures of the car. Jackie, you can't even see her. She was so far away from the president during this whole limousine ride, you know? That's a thing. And David Morales of the CIA managed that hit team in the car, apparently. I mean, you can see her signaling Morales on Houston Street in pictures when they round the corner. And I spoke with disc asset Rod McKenzie, who was the manager of the CIA, or the FBI 5 Holland Avenue safe house. And he had talked with David Morales in the 1970s, and also Malcolm Wallace the week following the hit. And Malcolm Wallace actually was the one who told McKenzie the hit teams were comprised of 26 people total, and there were two hit women, is what Wallace said. Now, he didn't name them, but actually he had named Ruth Ann Martinez, who was on the 6th floor, but I always wondered who the other one was. And then after examining 313 with Jackie shooting him, you can clearly see that Jackie was the other hit lady that they had that day. And Wallace said, according to McKenzie, the hit ladies were available if needed. And so in other words, Jackie, they thought the shooting, President Kennedy would have been shot in the back of the head by one of the shooters before he went past that sign. So they were thinking that was going to happen, and they probably even told Jackie, don't worry about it, you're not going to have to do it. But if he does come by the sign and he's not in the head, hit in the head, you and Greer are going to have to do it. Okay? So it turned out that she was needed. And this is just a picture of Ruth Ann Martinez and Jackie Kennedy, the two hit ladies involved that day. Okay, and I just wanted to mention the parallels of John Wilkes Booth, who assassinated President Lincoln with a Derringer, a palm pistol. It's very similar to what Jackie Kennedy did with President Kennedy with a palm pistol, you know? And both of these presidents, Lincoln and Kennedy, wanted to end the Federal Reserve, the policy of us having to pay interest when our money is printed. And Lincoln wanted to continue on his greenbacks that he was using during the Civil War that didn't require interest to be paid when we printed the money. And President Kennedy was going to do the same thing. He was going to end the Federal Reserve. We were going to print our own money backed by silver. And he had a few billion printed up and ready to be put into circulation. And immediately, the day after President Kennedy was assassinated, LBJ killed that, canceled that. And I just wanted, this is the Rothschilds' castle here, because the Rothschilds, we now know, put Booth up to shooting Lincoln. And the Rothschilds also were behind the Kennedy hit, as the Rothschild Baroness can be seen on Houston Street. And John J. McCloy signed off at Murchison's mansion, who was a Rockefeller Rothschilds rep, John J. McCloy, and also on the Warren Commission. So the Rothschilds were also very much behind the killing of President Kennedy, as they were President Lincoln. And there's obviously no doubt that they wanted the Federal Reserve to continue, so the Americans could continue to be paying interest on a treadmill endlessly and never being able to pay it off on our money. And here I just noted the hit teams. There are approximately 8 hit teams, 26 people total, included 2 hit women. And I've been through these in many videos, and if you like, you can stop this and read these, but I'm just going to move on. Okay, and here I just did some close-ups, some stills here of the Zapruder frames. But here it shows she shot in 313 and 314. She had already shot, and James Files' shot was coming in. Jackie had ducked down, and she was transferring her Derringer Palm pistol from her left to her right hand. You can't see it, but that's what she did. That's what she was doing there. Then here in 326 through 330, actually, here's the picture of restoring the pistol behind his back. That's the one that was blown up in the previous slide I showed with the gun to show an example. But this is the frame, and you can see it glinting in the sun. She stored it behind his back. Okay. Then she went back over there. And then here, she appears to grab the lamb chop puppet. Okay, get it in her right hand, the lamb chop puppet. You can see the white. And then she puts it behind his back also, then it wouldn't have the gun in it. She stores the lamb chop puppet behind his back also. And she begins to climb out over the trunk of the limousine to get some expelled bone and brain material. And as she climbs up, she gives herself a boost to climb up with her left hand pressing off the president's head. And she's going to meet up with Clint Hill back on the trunk. Okay, and here I just did a collage showing how she had to have changed her suit. We know that now. She changed into a second identical pink suit somewhere between when she shot President Kennedy in Dealey Plaza and the swearing in on Air Force One, okay? And there would have been much more blood on that suit, okay? You can see a little in this shot here when she was back east, but it's just been smeared on a little bit on the dress, but there would have been a lot more. I mean, there was blood all over the seat. There was blood everywhere, but they had to get her out of that suit because the blood contained deadly toxin from Greer's shot, and Gordon Novel's, the Umbrella Man, his flechette, and then also James Files' shot contained mercury, the frangible shot that exploded. So they had to get her out of those clothing. There's no question about it. They didn't smear enough on the dress to make it realistic on the second one. Okay, it was incriminating. They had to get rid of that clothing, and it was dangerous. So there's no question they changed her out of the suit. And her hat disappeared, and one of her gloves never to be seen again in the lamb chop puppet. Now, in recent years, they've made movies, Hollywood, where they tried to correct that obvious oversight. The Hollywood Zionists, who actually were partially behind the murder of President Kennedy. And really, connection there is Johnny Roselli, who was Hollywood all the way, who was one of the managers of part of the assassination that had to do with the Dell Techs building. But Hollywood continues to make movies showing that Oswald did it, or possibly him and somebody else. But they try to correct the problem by putting blood all over the actresses. But that's not the way the code looked at all. I mean, that's the way it must have looked when they took the first one off and destroyed it, because it was incriminating evidence. And actually, they show a hat here with blood on it, but we don't have any hat, you know? So how would they know there was blood on the hat, which there obviously probably was? They're showing it there like we have it, but we don't. There isn't any hat. They say it was lost, okay? And the suit in no way had, the second suit she changed into just did not have enough blood. There's Mary Pinchot Meyer. She's the one that President Kennedy, she would come to meet President Kennedy at the White House. And it's mentioned in Peter Janney's book, Mary's Mosaic, in the spring and early summer of '63. She was meeting President Kennedy quite often, and she was his mistress. And then she was killed in '64 after the Warren Report came out, because she had bought a copy of it, and she knew it was bullshit. She was going to blow the whistle, and so then she was found dead on a towpath. But Mary was a very great lady. President Kennedy, I think it was his true love, and she believed in peace on earth. She didn't believe in war. She was a great lady. She's an unsung hero. She inspired President Kennedy during the summer of '63 to do many great things. He was enacting a whole lot of change because of the spirit of Mary Pinchot Meyer, who was opening up his mind. President Kennedy no longer wanted any war. He was for civil rights. He was for ending nuclear testing, a whole lot of things. I'm going to do another video mentioning that. But Mary Pinchot Meyer should be known. She's a great lady. She didn't shoot the president like Jackie. She had President Kennedy focused on the right things during the summer of '63, and it was too much for the deep state. They were going to change the world for the good. That's what they were going to do. There's the book, Mary's Mosaic by Peter Janney, where Mary Pinchot Meyer was murdered in Washington, found on the towpath. Peter Janney proved the CIA did it. It wasn't Ray Crump, who was framed for it as the patsy. That was totally disproven. So we know the CIA did it for sure. It's just a question of which agent actually did it. But I really recommend this book, Mary's Mosaic. There's a whole lot of history in it that goes over the murder of Mary Pinchot Meyer and many other things about JFK and his great vision for the world that was snuffed out on November 22nd, '63 by the Illuminati Zionist Freemason forces who took over the country and are still in charge today. Here's Bobby Kennedy, who was killed in '68, and basically after President Kennedy was assassinated, Jackie started getting close to Bobby, and they say she was sleeping with him, and I think there's a good chance she was spying on Bobby. And then in '68, Bobby was killed by the CIA in a hit in the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles. And on the internet, there's even copies of the original report from the Los Angeles police that said that Sirhan, who's shown here, who's the patsy, brainwashed patsy, didn't do it. Caesar did it, one of the security guards, who was a CIA guy who was hired shortly before that. He shot Bobby from the back, so he was also assassinated. And shortly after, a few months after Bobby was killed in '68, then Jackie left the country and went off to the island of Scorpios with an international drug dealer and shipping kingpin Aristotle Onassis. So she fled the country, in my opinion, after her assignment was completed and another Kennedy was dead. There they go. So the Freemasons that took over our country on November 22nd, 1963, they're still in charge. These forces are still in charge. They run the candidates in both sides of the election, the Republicans and the Democrats, and they've remained in control all the way up to the present day. And here they are giving a devil's horns signal. As Jackie was Illuminati, her family were Jesuits. Here's the Vatican, Pope giving the devil's horn signal. The church has become corrupted by Illuminati forces, and that's the reason all these this pedophilia is, they turn a blind eye to it and just transfer the priests. None of them are brought to justice because the Zionists think pedophilia is okay, and they've penetrated and taken over the church. The Rothschilds control, they basically own the Catholic Church. And so that's what's going on here there. So you see Obama, George W. Bush, Hillary, and Trump, all of them, Bill Clinton, giving the devil's horns. I mean, they're obviously controlled. They're all controlled by the Illuminati Zionist forces. And I just wanted to show they're for a new world order agenda. Okay, and you can read this, blow it up and read it, but I just got it here for you of what they're looking for in their new world order, where they end up in charge. They're Satanists, and this is what they're going for. They want to be in control. They want to control all of us. And so that's the end of my my video on Jesuit, Illuminati, CIA hit lady Jackie Kennedy. Thanks for watching.